I didn't plan to do anything when I saw her. That's important to say first, because people always assumed there was some kind of plan. There wasn't. I wasn't angry in that moment. I wasn't even emotional. I just recognized her. You know how sometimes your body reacts before your mind does? That's what happened. I saw her face, and something in me went quiet. Not loud, not dramatic, just alert. It had been 12 years. 12 years since I last saw her, and yet I knew immediately it was her. Different clothes. Older. Married. Standing next to a man who clearly trusted her. And that's when it hit me. She had stolen from me. A long time ago, and I never got an explanation. Not money in a casual way. Not something small. It was the kind of thing that changes how you see people after. The kind of thing that makes you replay conversations in your head for years, wondering where exactly you were naive. I didn't confront her. I didn't say her name. I didn't even let her see me looking. I just watched. She looked normal, comfortable, like someone whose life had moved on without consequences. And maybe that should have been enough. Maybe I should have walked away and let the past stay buried. I thought about that. I really did. But there was something I never had. Answers. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want money. I didn't want to embarrass her. I just wanted to understand what actually happened back then, because all I had was silence. So instead of approaching her, I did something else. I noticed the man she was with. Her husband. You could tell immediately. The way he stood. The way he waited. The way he looked at her before making small decisions. I found a way to get his number later. Nothing illegal. Nothing dramatic. Just life being smaller than we think. The first time I called him, I kept it casual. I said I'd like to grab a drink sometime. Just a drink. No pressure. He said he couldn't, because his wife needed him at home. Fair enough. A few days later, I tried again. Same tone. Same calm approach. This time, he said his wife wanted him to accompany her to a relative's house. Okay. Then again, another time. Another reason. Always the same structure. Different words, same outcome. She needs me. She wants me to stay. She asked me not to go. After the third time, it became obvious. It wasn't about him being busy. She didn't want him meeting me. And that told me more than anything else could have. Because if there was nothing to hide, there would be nothing to fear. I didn't push. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just waited. Then one day, I called him and changed the tone completely. I told him there was something important I needed to tell him. Something that couldn't wait. I kept my voice steady. No drama. No threats. And then something happened that I didn't expect. I heard her. Not clearly, but clearly enough. She was shouting at him in the background, telling him to end the call. Immediately, there was panic in her voice. Not anger. Panic. And the silence that followed was heavy. He didn't hang up. Instead, his voice changed. He asked me where I was and when we could meet. We agreed on a public place. Grand Indonesia. Neutral. Busy. Safe for everyone. When he arrived, I almost didn't recognize him from the pictures I'd seen. He looked exhausted. There was a long scratch mark on his face. Fresh. Red. Like it hadn't fully settled yet. And his expression wasn't curious or friendly. It was guarded. We sat down. No small talk. The first thing he asked me was if I had anything with his wife. No build-up. No easing into it. Straight to the point. I told him to relax. I told him I had nothing with her. Never had. Never wanted. I said the only connection between us was something she did 12 years ago. He stared at me. Then he asked the question I expected. Do you have proof? I paused. Because proof is a strange thing when time has passed. I told him maybe the fact that she didn't want him meeting me was proof enough. And I mentioned, calmly, that I had made a police report back then. That there might still be a record somewhere. Maybe. I wasn't threatening him. I wasn't threatening her. I was just telling the truth. That's when his posture changed. He leaned back, exhaled, and said something that surprised me. He apologized. Not defensively, not aggressively, just tired. He said it wasn't his fault, and I immediately agreed. I made that very clear. This had nothing to do with him. Then he started talking. About her. About money. About how she spends. About where she came from. About things he said he had always ignored because he loved her. And as he spoke, I realized something uncomfortable. This wasn't the first time he had questioned her. It was just the first time someone else had forced the question into the open. We sat there longer than I expected, and right before we stood up to leave, he said something that changed how I saw the entire situation. But I'm not going to say that yet, because what happened next wasn't something I went there expecting at all. When he started talking about her, I didn't interrupt. That was important, because when people finally speak honestly, they usually tell you more by what they choose to justify than by what they confess. He said she grew up poor, that she didn't have much, that money made her anxious, that when she had it, she spent it quickly, almost aggressively, like she was afraid it would disappear if she didn't. He said this wasn't new, that he'd noticed it years ago, but he always explained it away. Stress, trauma, family pressure. He said she could be greedy. That was his word. He paused before using it, like he was checking whether it was allowed. I didn't nod. I didn't disagree. I just listened. Then he said something that stuck with me. He said, I never imagined she would steal like that. Not, I never imagined she would steal, but like that, which told me he already knew something, or at least suspected something. Maybe not what she did to me specifically, but enough to make my presence feel dangerous to her. I asked him why he thought she reacted the way she did when I called. He didn't answer immediately. He looked down at the table, rubbed his face, avoided eye contact. Then he said she's terrified of people from her past, especially men she can't control the narrative with. That was his exact phrasing. Control the narrative. I didn't expect that level of awareness. It made the situation heavier, not clearer. Then he told me about the scratch on his face. I didn't ask. He brought it up himself. He said when he told her he was meeting me, she panicked. Not cried. Panicked. She demanded to know what I had told him, why I called, what I wanted. He said he didn't even have answers yet, and that made her angrier. He said she grabbed his phone at one point, tried to end the call herself, and when he didn't let her, that's when it turned physical. Not a full fight, not screaming chaos, just sharp movements, nails, desperation, the scratch. He said it almost casually, like he was embarrassed to even be mentioning it. I felt something then, but it wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't anger either. It was clarity, because that reaction only comes from fear, not guilt in the abstract. Fear of exposure. At that point, I knew one thing for sure. She remembered me, and whatever she had done, she knew exactly how bad it looked if it came back into the light. He asked me again what exactly she did, and this time, I told him more. Not everything, just enough. I told him the situation back then, the trust, the context, the amount, the way it happened, the disappearance afterward. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't use emotional language. I just described the sequence of events, the same way you describe a car accident to an insurance company. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he closed his eyes for a moment, long enough that it became uncomfortable. Then he said something unexpected. He said he believed me. Immediately. No skepticism. No defense. That should have felt validating. Instead, it felt heavy. Because belief comes with responsibility. He started apologizing again. Repeatedly. I stopped him. I told him this wasn't his burden to carry. I meant it. He then said he would pay me back. Slowly. Over time. Whatever he could manage. That was the moment where the situation could have turned into something ugly. Something transactional. Something humiliating for him. And that's when I surprised both of us. I said no. Not politely. Not hesitantly. Firmly. I told him I didn't want his money. That I never came for that. That it didn't feel right to take it from him, especially knowing what he was dealing with at home. He looked confused. Almost suspicious. So I explained. I told him that money wasn't the thing that stayed with me for 12 years. It was the unanswered question. The lack of explanation. The feeling that I'd imagined it, or deserved it somehow. I told him I just wanted to know what kind of person does something like that, and then builds a whole life on top of it. He didn't respond right away. Instead, he told me something I didn't expect. He said that in their marriage, she often rewrites history. Small things at first. Arguments. Decisions. Who said what? He said if he confronts her with facts, she doesn't deny them directly. She reframes them until he feels unsure of his own memory. And suddenly, 12 years ago felt a lot closer. We sat there in silence after that. Not awkward silence. Heavy silence. The kind where both people are thinking the same thing, but neither wants to say it out loud. Eventually, He stood up and said he needed to go home. Before leaving, he reached out his hand. We shook, and right before he turned away, he said something quietly, almost like he didn't want to hear it himself. He said, "I don't know what I'm going to do tonight." I didn't answer, because there was no right answer. I watched him walk away into the crowd, and as I sat there alone, I realized something that unsettled me more than the theft ever had. This wasn't a closed chapter. It was the beginning of something for him, and I had just opened a door in his life that couldn't be closed again. What happened after that wasn't dramatic, but it changed how I see closure forever. I didn't hear from him for 2 days. No calls, no messages, nothing. At first, I thought that was it. That he went home, confronted her, and whatever happened stayed behind their door. That my role was finished. But silence has a way of sitting heavier when you know you've disturbed something. On the 3rd day, my phone rang. It was him. His voice was different. Not shaken, not angry, just stripped. He asked if we could talk again. Not in public this time. Somewhere quieter. Somewhere he wouldn't run into anyone he knew. I agreed. When I saw him, he looked older. Not tired, older. Like something had rearranged itself inside him and hadn't settled yet. He didn't sit down right away. He paced, then finally stopped and said, "She confessed. Not because I forced anything. Not because of police. Not because of evidence. She confessed because she panicked." When he got home that night, he didn't accuse her. He didn't shout. He didn't mention my name. He just asked her one question. He asked, "Is there anything you want to tell me before someone else does?" That was it. He said she went quiet. Completely quiet. Then she asked what he knew. When he said nothing, she broke. She told him everything. Not just about me. About other things too. Other people. Other moments where she'd crossed lines and then buried them under time and marriage and routine. She admitted that meeting me terrified her because I was the only person from her past who hadn't forgotten. The only loose end. He told me that as she spoke, he felt something collapse. Not love. Trust. The thing that makes a shared life feel real. Then he told me the part he hadn't planned to say out loud. He said that when she finished confessing, she didn't ask for forgiveness. She asked him not to leave. And that's when he realized something important. She wasn't afraid of losing him. She was afraid of losing control. He didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. The next morning, she asked him if he was going to call the police. He said no. That surprised her. He told her punishment wasn't the point. That the damage was already done. That no amount of consequences would undo the fact that he now saw her clearly. Then he told her he was meeting me again. She begged him not to. Not cried. Begged. He came anyway. That's when he told me why he really called. He wanted to know if I still felt haunted by what she did. That question caught me off guard. I told him the truth. I told him that for years, yes, it stayed with me. It made me cautious, suspicious, less open. But sitting across from him now, knowing the truth was out, I didn't feel haunted anymore. I felt finished. He nodded, like that answer mattered. Then he asked if I hated her. I thought about it. I said no, not because she deserved mercy, but because hatred would mean she still had space in my life. And she didn't. That's when he finally sat down. He told me he wasn't sure what he was going to do next. That divorce felt too clean a word for something this messy. That staying felt like agreeing to forget, and forgetting felt like betraying himself. He asked me what I would do. I didn't give advice. I told him something simpler. I told him that whatever choice he made, he shouldn't make it to keep peace. He should make it to keep clarity. Because peace without clarity just delays the damage. We didn't talk much after that. We shook hands again. Longer this time. And that was the last time I saw him. A week later, I got one final message. He said he asked her to write everything down. Every lie, every incident, every version she'd told herself to survive. He said watching her struggle to keep the story straight was the moment he knew it was over. Not because she was a thief, but because she had built a life on avoiding the truth. He thanked me, not for exposing her, but for refusing the money. He said that choice forced him to see that this wasn't about settling a debt. It was about facing who he was married to. I never contacted him again, and I never contacted her. I didn't need closure in the way people usually mean it. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get justice. I didn't get revenge. What I got was something quieter. I got confirmation that what I remembered was real, and that was enough. Because some people don't ruin your life when they hurt you. They just teach you the cost of ignoring your instincts. And sometimes, years later, you get the chance to put the weight down. Not dramatically, just finally.